Yeah, so today we're going to take the Fokker D-VII out again and try and run it. We tried to run it once before, and the fuel tank actually, you have to pump a little bit of pressure, just a minor amount. It keeps a little bit of pressure on the tank, kind of acts a little bit like a fuel pump. And the last time we did it, there was a very small leak in the top of the tank. Obviously, we didn't want to run it, and the air was leaking out as well. So anyway, so we got that fixed, and we're going to pull it out, see if it runs, and if it's running good, you know, maybe I'll go taxi it around. God, this booster mag switch is not in a great place.
Ready?
It's hot. It's jammed because I had the stick forward, and it's got this double frickin' throttle system. Yeah, let's try it again. Just chalk it up and let's see if we can get it started again. That's a learning experience. Yeah, so basically what's happening here is I pushed the throttle forward and it wasn't going anywhere. It's not going anywhere because it's got a double throttle here, and if you move the throttle forward, that's got to be clear. So this is interesting because, you know, if I want to basically, you know, spin the tail around, you push the stick forward, so when you give it a blast of throttle, the tail will come up. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to deal with that.
It's just like the albatross, in as much as when you're idling, it goes really rich.
Yeah.
It would load up, I think, really quite quickly.
Ready?
Spinner. It's hot. one's not, I can't, there's no way I do a downwind turn. Yeah. I mean, you know, you gotta keep it slow, you gotta keep blasting it, but part of the problem is you can't push the stick forward because then you can't add the throttle. Because the throttle hits the spar.
Well, maybe you're supposed to use the throttle on the stick.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The handle hits the instrument panel.
Oh, it hits the panel, that's right.
And I'm pushing it, I'm pushing the one on the side,
that's
and
right.
I'm going, well, that's not going to work. So right there, that's as much, well, it's a little bit of down elevator, that's not bad. You know, that's not bad. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, but it doesn't seem to be swiveling enough to want, if you blast it, it doesn't kind of have that swing around. The skid's not swinging far enough. Well, we'll look at it. Just go get the thing. There's a very slight wind going down the runway, and when I first turned into the wind, you know, it naturally wants to swing into the wind. So if I use the blast of power, because there's no brakes, you know, I'd blip it a little bit, keeping it slow, then it would keep pushing the tail around. But apparently the skid has a little bit of swivel movement back and forth, but maybe not as much as some of the airplanes I'm used to. And normally they flew off of giant round airfields, and you know, I've got 125-foot wide long runway, but in most of the airplanes I can turn around in here, but not currently with this airplane. But anyway, you know, we're still learning. You know, we'll figure it out. The worst case basis is on the Fokker triplane, we actually put a little shoe on the bottom to make it a lot more steerable, and you basically connect a couple of cables to the rudder cables. Then it becomes a steerable deal. And you know, because of the width of the runways here, I may have to do that to, you know, to be able to control it a little bit better. Anyway, yeah, it's fun. Sounds good. Alrighty, and the tack never worked. So we may want to check the tack. I don't know why the tack's not working. All right, so we got to run and taxi the Fokker D-VII around a little bit. It was running great, really running great. We got to tweak the idle up a little bit. It runs a little bit rich at idle, but that's because when you're running at full power, there's no real idle adjustment mixture on it. So anyway, we're going to at least bump up the idle adjustment as far as the RPM goes. There was a couple of times there when I was taxiing around when I pulled it back too far, and it either almost quit, one or two times it actually did quit. And anyway, so we warmed it up. The tack's not working, so we got to find out what that problem is. The air pressure gauge is working. The tank doesn't have a leak in it, so that we got that fixed. Once I warmed it up a little bit, wanted to check the mags, those are fine, and went ahead to try and taxi around a little bit. And you know, in the old days, they had big open grass airfields to taxi and fly these airplanes around here. I've got two runways, my widest one's 125 feet, so I've got to be able to turn in less than 125 feet. This airplane so far doesn't really like to turn very well. Part of that is because the skid in the back doesn't have a lot of motion, you know, in the back there. It's pretty much straight. It's got a little bit of motion, but not a lot. One of the things that we did on our Fokker triplane to compensate for that, while it's not original, it makes it a little safer deal. We actually make a little special plate on the bottom of the shoe on the tail skid in the back, you know, which is a piece of wood and drags in the grass. We actually put a little thing on it and it rotates, got little scags in it, and we hook some cables up to it, to the rudder cables, so we can actually have a little steerable thing on the back, which allows me to turn in a sharper circle. Might be prudent to put that on there. I mean, I could fly it, but I'm going to have the guys to, you know, take me down, turn me around, line me up with the runway. As long as I was turning into the wind, I was okay when I was taxiing, but other than that, it runs great. We've still got to get the FAA out. I finished the weight and balance last weekend, so once we get a few things sorted out, taxi around a little bit, get the FAA out, then I think we're going to be ready to rock and roll.